All right, we should be back in the building. Let me make sure we're good. Shout out to the gang in here. We should be good to go. Y'all know what to do. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can hear me. Drop a 1 in the chat if you can see me. We are back at it on this Monday. Hopefully y'all are doing well. Hopefully you are staying warm. We're out here on the East Coast, near the East Coast, out here in Atlanta, Georgia, and whoo, this cold is hitting. I know we're feeling it, and hopefully everybody's been safe out there. Y'all have power and everything. Been saying prayers throughout the weekend for everybody that's dealing with this weather. We're going to get into the show. We got a lot to talk about today. We're going to talk about everything that's been going on with this investigation into the Alex Pertti situation. This man was shot and killed by Border Patrol agents. We're going to get into some details there, some new evidence that's coming to light. We're going to hear the press conferences from DHS, from ICE, from the mayor, from the governor. It's getting crazy out here. But before we get into it, I got to say what's up to the people, man. And good morning to those of y'all who are on the West Coast or who are on Mountain Time, y'all. To the West, shout out to everybody. We've got, of course, my beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy is in here doing what she does. This be amazing. Y'all make sure you go check out her channel, subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time she drops a new video. Taco Tuesday is in here a day earlier. We got A Fits. Virginia Wiley is in the building as well. Nana Banana is in here too. Good to see so many of y'all in here. Now, I don't ask for much on the show, but the one thing I do ask is that you guys like the video on your way in. It takes less than a second to do. Likes are free. It helps the channel continue to grow. It lets the algorithm know that you guys are enjoying the show. Shares the video, the channel live stream with more people. So thank you to the 300 plus of y'all that have liked the video so far. Absolutely amazing. I really do appreciate it. We got the big dog J Money is in here as well. And also, if you're feeling extra generous, you guys can share the video as well. Just click the share button. It allows you to share it to X, Instagram, Facebook. You can even share it via text to your group chat or wherever. So thank you to those of you who do that, as well as anyone who sends in a super chat. I will be reading super chats as we go throughout the show. So looking forward to a great one today. And thank y'all for being here as well. CPE is in the building. What's up, CPE? He said, hey, I even got an alert and showed up on time too. Hey, shout out to CPE. Always showing love. And yeah, YouTube's been tripping lately. There's a lot of changes going on with YouTube. So we're just going to have to work through it. I know YouTube's got it under control. So yep, glad to see y'all in here again. Hopefully everybody's doing safe. I know this weather is crazy. I think Amy was just saying it's going to feel like -4 with the wind here in Atlanta. Might have to stay inside tonight. I don't know. Y'all let me know where you're at and what the temperature is. I'll be interested to see that as we get into our first topic. And I need to fix this here. All right, this is going to be a tough one. Excuse me. And actually, let me sip some water because many of y'all know we've been going through some things over here. So still trying to get through this call, through all this stuff. Oh, Florida's in the 60s. Really? Of course, the first person to comment was Florida. Get out of here. Florida's over there chilling. Hurricane season's over too. Y'all are happy. It's snowing in Alabama and I made it to a live. Have I entered the twilight zone? Jeez. It is, what's the temperature right now? It's 29 degrees in Atlanta. I think it was 14 this morning. It was 14 or 15 this morning. Yeah, we're feeling it. And it's going to be 15 tomorrow. Shout out to Alabama. Shout out to Florida too. I guess y'all can get a shout out. It is, oh, actually it's 30 degrees right now. So it's getting warmer. Our high today in Atlanta is 36 degrees. Can y'all believe that? Linda in Michigan. Oh, Michigan. Oh my God. It was -2 out there the other day. In Michigan, 14 feels like 3. Oh my. Oh, man. I got people out in Michigan. It was like -2 in certain places in Michigan the other day. Wouldn't be me. I can't do it. Nana Banana said, come on down to Florida. Might have to take a trip down there. Let's go ahead and get into our first topic. So we've been covering everything that's been happening with this tragic shooting of Alex Pertti. Now, it's tragic anytime someone loses their life. I don't think there are very few cases, if any, when someone deserves to lose their life. And again, this is tragic to me because things could have went a different way. Now, when it comes to blame, there's been a lot of back and forth about who's to blame on this, were things done right, and we've actually went through and covered several different angles from the videos that are out there, including this one that's looping on the screen, as y'all could see. Now, you can see clearly, and I don't think this has been disputed, that one of the Border Patrol agents who was involved in this, originally we thought it to be ICE, later found out it was Border Patrol. Border Patrol actually gets the gun from Alex Pertti. Now, with the slowed down version, it does appear that this gun discharges. And if y'all haven't seen it yet, we may get into a video later about this specific gun by SIG. It's one of the worst guns on the market and has a history of misfiring just for no reason. People being shot in the leg, people being at a gun range and it just going off. It's just one of the worst guns ever. Sorry, SIG. I'll never be sponsored by SIG on this channel, which is fine. Either way, so it's looking like it appears the gun went off, and that's what caused the agents to fire and to shoot and kill Alex Pertti. Now, we're going to get into a couple of different angles of this video that actually show what happened before the shooting to see if we can get another perspective. So this one, the person who posted this, they got a lot of comments here, and they say a new video emerges. The video single-handedly destroys the narrative being spread on social media. Also, the claims that a physician was attempting to help and was denied moments after, that appears to be false. So let's look at this video, see what's going on, and I'll get the sound for y'all too. So this is after he was shot. So this is a medical professional that was trying to render aid. Looks like. Crazy. Did this man deserve to die? No, in my opinion. No, absolutely not. I don't think anybody's saying he deserved to die. Did he F.O.? Unfortunately, yes. Again, we can be objective here. Some people are getting upset because they feel things are getting too political. It's only political because it's being made political in this instance. A lot of the reasons we're seeing issues happen with Renee Good, seeing issues happen here, and we have the situation with Alex Pertti, is not because of, well, you could point to a left or a right issue, but it's because this man made a conscious choice to go to a protest, to involve himself, we're going to show this here, to interfere with law enforcement while allegedly lawfully armed, resisted arrest, and that led to this situation happening. It's a sad, unfortunate situation, and again, I will say this, I don't think he needed to be shot and killed. But considering the circumstances, considering none of us know how we would react in this situation, it's tragic to see. Here's another video of showing the ICE agent, it's not ICE agent, it's Border Patrol, ordering Alex Pertti to stay off the street because he was obstructing ICE agents arresting a violent criminal illegal immigrant. A few moments later, he had a loaded gun, and yeah, we're not going to get into the politics of this because I don't want to. This is just about common sense and what could have been prevented. Oh, they got the music. I don't want to play the music. It's obnoxious. So you see here, he's encountering, and people are saying these are ICE agents. I thought it was an ICE agent as first as well. No, these were Border Patrol agents, because we could see that encounter here. And another situation that happened, you're going to see actually Alex Pertti in the road, directing traffic, telling people where to go, where to move, trying to block ICE. It could have been preventable. It's sad, man. So this is the man himself in the middle of the road, telling people to come through, blocking ICE. ICE agent gets out of the car. He's trying to move this woman out of the way. Sad. And he says, hey, don't push her. You just grabbed her. Mind your business. Now, we do have an update here when it comes to what is the mayor and what is the governor going to do? Because now the governor is speaking out, and he just he has been speaking out a lot about how he feels about ICE, how he feels about the president, how he feels about local law enforcement being involved in this. And the mayor said this yesterday about what's going on in Minnesota and Minneapolis specifically. He said, Minnesota believes in law and order. We believe in peace, and we believe that Trump needs to pull his 3,000 untrained agents out of Minnesota before they kill another American in the street. Let's be clear, guys. I have had a lot of smoke for the governor, not because I care about the right or the left side. I don't care about that. This is just objectively about what is the right thing to do. And here, blaming what happened to Renee Good and blaming what happened to Alex Pertti, could you blame it on not great training? Maybe. Can you realistically say, if these people were not interfering with law enforcement, were not interfering with ICE, were not injecting themselves into law enforcement, trying to do what they're there to do, and that's arrest, detain, and remove illegal immigrant criminals, then we wouldn't have this problem? The answer obviously is yes. So again, could there be a lack of training for ICE agents and Border Patrol agents on, hey, if there's an American protester who has a gun and he's resisting arrest and you throw him on the ground, maybe just wait until a shot's fired and then you can fire back? Or, hey, if you're in a situation where a protester is trying to move their vehicle and drives it towards you, you don't necessarily have to shoot them. Just move out of the way. Sure. But at the end of the day, Renee Good, Alex Pertti, they made a stupid choice. And that's, there's really nothing else to say. And then we could also argue that the agents involved made a stupid choice as well. I don't know that I wouldn't say that they're untrained, because I think that's going a little too far. Also, we've got another angle from this. The car that was sitting in the frame where this all went down, there was actually a person in the car recording everything. Now, I don't know if they were there as a part of this protest, if they were innocent bystander, but this angle hasn't been seen by a lot of people. But this check this out. Let me play this for you guys. Whoa! So that's Alex Pertti there. This is the ICE agents that are trying to get him out of the way. What looked like happened was there's a woman that was in the road. ICE agent got out of the car, or a Border Patrol agent got out of the car, moved the woman out of the way, the pushed her. Alex didn't like that, so then he interfered and got out. The Border Patrol agent pushes this woman out of the way because he's telling her to get out of the road. She wasn't moving. Pepper spray. And then I don't know what Alex is doing here. He's pulling this woman. I don't know why. He's fighting and resisting the agents. All while armed, by the way. Guys, this is just stupid. Would you encourage your kids to do this? I hope to God not. Now, this is an interesting fact as well. If you listen, you could hear gun, 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 gun. Agent says it over and over and over. They're trying to get the gun away from him. They eventually get the gun.
Holy shit! Oh my God! Oh!
That angle is insane. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot more come out after this as well. Well, when it comes to what's going on in Minneapolis, it sounds like we may be close to a solution, because the White House just tweeted this a few minutes ago. And the White House says, Governor Tim Walz called the president and requested that they work together with respect to Minnesota. It was a very good call, says the president, and we actually seem to be on a similar wavelength. Two people had to die before we got here. Tim, come on, man. Crime is way down, and both Governor Walz and I want to make it better. President Donald Trump. And he said more. He said it was a very good call. The governor very respectfully understood that, and I will be speaking to him in the near future. He was happy that Tom Homan was going to Minnesota, and so am I. We have had such tremendous success in Washington, D.C., Memphis, Tennessee, and New Orleans, Louisiana, and virtually every other place that we have touched, and even in Minnesota. Crime is way down, but both Governor Walz and I want to make it better, says the president. So, again, looks like we may be getting to some sort of solution here. I don't know why it took this long. I don't know why the mayor of Minneapolis, why Governor Walz have taken this long to actually try and figure out what they can do better. Local law enforcement has had their hands up. We're going to hear from the police chief there in Minneapolis shortly. But here's some more of what's going on, and we're going to talk about it in another video. These ICE agents are getting attacked, and we don't see a lot of this and a lot of, excuse me, a lot of what these ICE agents are dealing with. But here's the situation. No one dies. No one gets murdered. But these ICE agents are getting attacked and getting bricks thrown at them.
Are you trapped? Get back!
And that's a non-lethal weapon, by the way.
Stay back! Get back!
Someone just threw a brick at this ICE. And they ran away. No more training than they need. I don't know how you prepare for this, other than people saying, "Hey, you're an ICE agent, just deal with it. You gotta take it." People spit at you, they throw bricks at you, whatever. No guns, just you gotta take it and then do your job still. Let's hear from this police chief. I was on his team. Shout out to Brian O'Hara. I was on his team and I thought he did a great job at the last press conference. Now it seems like we're taking 2 steps back because he says this. Minneapolis police chief Brian O'Hara says, even if the investigation proves that the shooting of Alex Pertti was justified, it doesn't matter because people are mad. O'Hara, I'm gonna play the video. This is
well, I've seen the videos just as thousands of people around the country have, and the videos speak for themselves. I think it's deeply concerning, the things that are being said. This is an individual that was a city resident. It appears that he was present,
he was an idiot,
exercising his First Amendment rights to record law enforcement activity, and also exercising his Second Amendment rights to lawfully be armed in a public space in the city. So I think very obviously there are serious questions that are being raised. And I think the greater issue is, even if there is an investigation that ultimately proves that at the time of the shooting it was legally justified, I don't think that even matters at this point, because there is so much outrage and concern around what is happening in the city.
What do you mean it doesn't matter at this point? You mean the situation on the ground is already, the impression is left?
People have had
Great
enough.
question.
This is the 3rd shooting now in less than 3 weeks. The Minneapolis Police Department went the entire year last year recovering about 900 guns from the street, arresting hundreds and hundreds of violent offenders.
Oh, well, chill. All right, chill, police chief. Nobody's talking about local law enforcement, other than when it comes to you guys just keeping your hands in your hands folded and not helping with these protests. Come on now, we don't care about that.
And now this is the 2nd American citizen that's been killed. It's the 3rd shooting within 3 weeks. Mm-hmm. People have been speaking out, saying that this was going to happen again. And I think everyone is kind of waiting for folks on both sides to come together and just figure this thing out. This is not sustainable. This police department has only 600 police officers. We are stretched incredibly thin. This is taking an enormous toll trying to manage all of this chaos on top of having to be the police department for a major city.
This guy is completely flip-flopping. It's sad to see. In the press conference he just had several days ago, he said, hey, you guys, you don't have a lawful ability to be where you are and to do what you do. Please stop. He said this to his community. And I said, yeah, good job, Brian. Way to go. Holding your people accountable. And now he's saying this. completely contradictory, completely disingenuous, and they need to hold the community accountable. ICE will be held accountable for their actions. And I think, as we've seen in a lot of these instances, could it have been avoided? Yes. Is it justified? Possibly. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and in the chat. Shout out to the gang, man. We got 7,000 of y'all up in here listening to this BS. I know you have a lot to say when it comes to this, but I'll be interested to see what y'all have to say. Man. Why was Border Patrol so far from the border? Come on. I forgot Border Patrol crimes only take place at the border. That is hilarious. Would he have physically intervened if it was the police? He came there prepared for war and he got it. It could have been prevented, but it didn't happen in slow motion. Yes, exactly. Officers have a split-second decision when dealing with the gun. It's unfortunate and it's sad. It's tragic because if the gun did misfire and then he ended up getting shot, that's tough. But the only thing that'll come out of it is a lawsuit, to be honest. Excuse me. They have had a lot of problems with the 9mm pistol. Don't know. They're still putting that gun out. Yeah, I have a video on it. We might get into it later. I just don't like doing videos on guns because YouTube really does not like gun stuff. So I remember when the Army went to SIG, so many NDs. I will never. Yep. And I've got family members that love it. And anytime I see them, I know that they're caring. I'm like, bro, hey, can you just make sure when you sit down, you put that thing somewhere? I don't want it pointed at me. Just what is the proper way to bring a weapon to a protest? I'd be interested to know, maybe from an attorney, what the law says about that. And that's a great question. And again, I can't imagine that there would be any issues with you bringing a gun to a protest, but don't resist arrest and struggle with the police, brother. Dang. Come on, man. Come on. I mean, that alone seems like it could get you shot. Mistakes happen. That's why it's a good idea not to F with ICE while in possession of a firearm, or any law enforcement for that matter, or anyone. Like, imagine it's just, and that's the thing. I think people have lost so much respect for law enforcement throughout the entirety of this situation. I bet you Alex wouldn't be walking up in a certain area of his community, lifting up his shirt, being like, hey, y'all good? No, man. Hey, you gotta be careful. You can't just be doing that anywhere, but you're gonna do it to law enforcement? Get out of here. Over 90% of firearm homicides. Good morning. Shout out to Samson and Ray. Oh, well, once law enforcement is at threat, they are mandated to take out the threat until it stops, eliminating the threat. Wait, are you saying it was his own gun that went off? That's what it looked like. That's what it looked like. I agree with you. Don't put yourself in the situation. It's easy. Thank you, ClassE. People need to learn to mind their business. Rest in peace, Alex and Renee, though. They did not have to be shot and killed, but they made choices that ultimately led to that. It's unfortunate. Damage control. Please don't go to Minnesota or Minneapolis. Yeah. The mayor of Minneapolis is an idiot and an instigator. I agree. Shame on him. ClassE, did you see the letter that Bondi sent to Walz about the stipulations are going to make in the end, including private voting information? We're going to get into Pam Bondi here in a second. So y'all hold on. We jumping ahead a little bit. I appreciate y'all being knowledgeable, though. I love that. The chief of police knows the guy pushed the federal agent. He's trying to be a part of the insurrection. Chief of police says he doesn't care about the law. F that guy. I want to know who is paying these people to go out in negative degree weather to protest. It was -2 degrees the other day. Did he die as a result of his own actions? Absolutely yes. Yeah, here's the thing. I don't want to get into what's the word I'm looking for? What is the word I'm looking for? Let's be clear. He died as a result of being shot. Did his actions lead to him being shot? Yes, but he died as a result of an officer making a choice to shoot and kill him. Again, we don't know what we would do in that situation. It should be the last resort. But I don't know that we can say he died as a result of his own actions. I don't know. It's tough. Dang, man. But I get the sentiment. Everybody keeps saying it was a peaceful protest. No, it wasn't. That's not the way I used to protest. When we were peaceful, we didn't spit on anybody. Yes, I've been a part of protests as well. It did not look like that. People were loud, people were yelling, but you had the law enforcement on one side, you had the people on the other side. No peaceful protest should end up endangering anyone. You can't attack anyone without being in danger yourself. Stay at home. Don't break the law while protesting. These aren't protests. These are combat zones. Yeah. And again, I mean, did he have a right? Did Alex have a right to be there? Yes. Did he have a right to protest? Yes. Should he have resisted arrest? No. Does he have a right to resist arrest? Technically, yes, you can resist arrest. You just have certain consequences to that, right? Is he allowed to carry while resisting arrest? Yes. I mean, it's America. Yeah, you can resist arrest while you're carrying a gun. The problem with that is you don't get to decide the consequences of that. Should the consequence of that be you getting shot and killed? I don't think so. And I don't think most people think that either. But that's what happened in this case. And you don't get to control that. And it's justified because you were a threat. It should be that simple. In a lot of cases, it isn't. But man, I hate to see this situation. I don't think people need to die. I think they can still spread the message and communicate what they want to without getting shot and killed. And I mean, was it worth it? Was it worth it? I don't think it was. I mean, you got the one dude, I don't know if it was a guy or a girl in California that lost their eye because they were hit in the face with a non-lethal round and said, oh yes, I would do it again if I could. I'd give up my other eye. I'm not buying it. I think if Alex could come back today and do it again, he'd say, maybe when they tell me to back up, I'll just back up. And I can keep protesting peacefully. It looks like his gun went off when it was removed, which prompted the other officers to shoot. Yeah. This is crazy. But again, I mean, that's also his responsibility. Can you imagine if the gun had went off and shot an officer? Because his legs were flipped up all inside the air. If it were in his holster and that gun has a history of going off and it goes off and shoots an officer, sheesh. Could have been 2 lives lost that day. Or what if it hits a pedestrian? Thank God the agent who recovered the gun didn't have it pointed up and handled it carefully. I mean, again, this all happened in seconds. It didn't happen in slow motion. Obviously, you secure the gun. It's better to make sure it's not, make sure there aren't any live rounds in it. But that could have been so much worse. I mean, obviously someone losing their life is terrible. This one is a little more conflicted than the Renee. I agree, because I don't think he was trying to harm the officers. I don't think he was trying to either. I think he's a stupid idiot that lost his life because he made a stupid idiot decisions. Obviously, he lost his life because he was shot and killed. But I think he was in that situation because that's where he wanted to be. These protests are out of control. Well, we're going to get into it because we already talked about when it comes to this situation with ICE, when it comes to Border Patrol, the places that they're staying being attacked by protesters. And it looks like it's happening again, and it's happening more often. And this city of Minneapolis is absolutely in shambles. I don't know why Governor Walz, Mayor Jacob Fry, the police chief are taking such a passive role when we can see in these news conferences, where we can see in the reporting that this place looks like a war zone. And they're blaming it on ICE being there and pulling ICE as a solution. Now, if you've got protesters going against ICE agents, the issue isn't the ICE agents. The issue is the unrest and the protesters just going and taking things too far. That's what needs to be addressed here, not the federal agents who are abiding by the law. And if you don't like the law, okay, fine. You got a problem with the law, not with the agents. Anyway, we'll get into this video. Check this out. Protesters are back at it again, destroying their own city. And for what?
Minnesota hotel overnight, which they believe is housing ICE agents. This is still going on.
It all comes as a Minnesota judge holds a hearing today after ordering DHS to preserve all evidence from this weekend shooting. Madeline Rivera live from Washington with the details. Maddie.
What a terrible place.
Good morning, Carly and Todd. This has become a familiar scene in Minnesota. Protesters gathering at hotels where they believe federal agents are staying, clashing with them and making any noise they can by banging drums or blowing whistles. In one instance, protesters attempted to push their way through a blockade that agents tried to form near a hotel's front door. The anger in this.
And again, this isn't even an ICE agent here. This is hotel security. It's like, hey guys, can you please just stop? Can you stop trying to break in?
It has intensified after the fatal shooting of 37-year-old Alex Pertti. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem says her agency is leading the probe, but state officials say they want to do an investigation as well, and they've secured a temporary restraining order blocking federal officials from destroying evidence. Minnesota leaders accuse federal authorities of blocking their access to the crime scene.
I don't care if you're conservative, liberal, or whatever, but you should at least be in favor of conserving evidence in a homicide.
I agree.
And to have to go get an order from a judge to preserve that evidence is extraordinary and should alarm everyone who believes in equal justice under the law.
I agree with the AG.
DHS says Pertti tried to obstruct an active law enforcement operation, and Noem says the agent who fired his weapon was afraid for his life. Border Patrol Chief Gregory Bavino says agents are operating under stressful circumstances.
Yeah, being attacked by armed protesters could be a little bit stressful.
Let's think of what those agents were doing on that scene, making a split-second decision. You've had 24 hours to try and armchair quarterback things. That agent had a split second to make a decision.
We're going to get into that press conference
rage, several federal sources tell our Bill Malugin they're frustrated with some of the narratives and claims from DHS, and they say they support the mass deportation agenda from the Trump administration, but they have concerns about the way it's being carried out. President Trump telling the Wall Street Journal his administration is reviewing everything about the incident. Carly and Todd.
Madeline Rivera, thank you. With that, let's bring in former DHS Deputy Assistant Secretary Jonathan Fahey. And Jonathan, I'm confused because I went to law school, and albeit I haven't practiced in a number of years, but you saw Keith Ellison, the Attorney General of Minnesota, there saying it is uproarious that we need to go to court to get the DHS and ICE to preserve this evidence in this case.
I agree.
Is that hearing and that action by the AG there even necessary, or is this all political grandstanding from AG Ellison, from the Minnesota judge who is going to hold today's hearing? Because evidence in a case like this is going to be preserved anyway.
You're exactly right. And what he's doing is abusing the court system as another way to defame ICE, to defame law enforcement, to defame the Trump administration. It's totally inappropriate. But remember, just last week, Keith Ellison, when talking about the FACE Act, didn't even understand what it was and had clearly.
And by the way, if that name Keith Ellison sounds familiar, this is the Keith Ellison who is alleged to be involved in the protest that went down at the church where Don Lemon was involved. You had Nikema Armstrong was involved there. So Keith Ellison, he got some stuff going on. But again,
Clearly never read it, but he's willing to go out on TV and talk about all these issues. But it's clearly a political stunt. What's going to happen is the federal government's going to investigate this case. The evidence will be preserved. If the state wants to do a parallel investigation, they can have at it, do whatever they want, but they're not entitled to be a part of the federal investigation. And ultimately, as we've talked about before, the state, if they try to charge these officers or this officer, they're going to ultimately fail in federal court because it will get removed to federal court and dismissed under the supremacy clause, under what's called supremacy clause or federal officer immunity, which has been precedent from the Supreme Court since 1890. So,
all right, so they're getting more into the politics of this. I want to get actually into the facts. And I originally wasn't going to show this video, but I think this is important. And shout out to this video, which actually goes into great detail on what allegedly happened at this scene, specifically what happened with this gun. Again, we've talked about the gun specifically in other videos. Not the greatest gun on the market, and it has a history of misfiring. And I've actually got another video I'm going to show you guys of someone showing how easy it is to misfire this gun. But check this out from the country's top expert on self-defense law. Here we go.
The shooter's gun, and I'm familiar with this gun. This is a SIG 320. Gosh, what do they call it? The AXG.
Terrible gun.
Yeah, AXG. The SIG 320 AXG Combat. You can see it has a threaded barrel, just like the suspect's gun. This image is from the SIG website, so it doesn't have the optional optic on it, which this guy has, which, by the way, is a SIG optic, a Romeo 2 optic, 9mm pistol, high capacity. This magazine might be the 20 or 21 round magazine, the way it's extending from the gun. This is not an inexpensive firearm. This gun, just the gun without the optics, sells for anywhere between $1,000 and $1,200 retail. And the optic that's on the shooter's gun is typically another $500 or $600. So we're pushing a couple $1,000s worth of the pistol here, which is not a small amount of money on the gun. Now, I'm going to mention, because someone's going to mention it, like it or not, SIG 320s have developed a reputation, deserved or not,
it's deserved,
of unintentional discharges, meaning if they're dropped, sometimes they go off when they're not supposed to. They're supposed to be drop safe, but there's been lots.
Actually, and you know what? I'm going to interrupt here and go to that other video I was telling you guys about, just to show this is crazy. So there's evidence that his gun may have been defective, like many of these guns are. Gun rights advocate Taylor D. Rhodes 2A, y'all can check him out on X, made a video 5 months ago showing the same gun that Alex Pertti was carrying can accidentally discharge. This video is wild. Some people are speculating the first shot heard in the footage was Pertti's gun after the officer removed it from his belt, after they shouted gun, gun, and the second officer reacted with the next shot. Did the gun go off unprompted? It's possible. That's the case. ICE agent / liability debates aside, Alex Pertti's family could possibly sue SIG, the manufacturer. I think they would probably sue Department of Homeland Security first. This video is crazy. Y'all check this out.
Put some input into the slide somewhere. Will it go off again? Will it release? Let's see. That's 3 in a row. Let me take the screw out.
This is crazy. Again, YouTube's not gonna like this video because it's got a gun in it, but oh well. I think this is important.
Number 4. Let's try it again. Let me show you. Fully functioning striker safety. All right. Should we do it with the magazine again? Let's put the magazine back in, and then we'll try the last one with the magazine out. Handy dandy trigger input tool. We are going to try.
It's not a live round, by the way.
Dang, sorry about that. I'm trying to get over a sinus thing and a cough. We're going to try to simulate All right, here we go. Again, we are roughly, as we saw on the tabletop, I'm guessing we're roughly 1 millimeter to less than 1 millimeter of engagement on that trigger. And let's see.
And what he's saying is if the trigger is just pulled without actually engaging the pin, will it be able to fire? It's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to fully pull the trigger back, engage the firing pin, and then the gun shoots.
If we can get it to go off again.
Crazy. He got it. He was able to make that happen 4 different times in a row.
Lots of press coverage and lawsuits about
don't buy this gun.
Like just putting a primer in the gun and dropping it, the primer goes off. That's not supposed to happen. There's been lots of lawsuits where people say, you know, I bumped the gun in the holster and it just went off and shot me in the leg, that kind of stuff. In this case, it's beginning to look, at least initially, as if one of the ICE guys perceived the gun on the suspect, this gun, and took it off his person and was turning away, walking away with the gun to secure it from the suspect. But what might have happened, remember, there's a whole bunch of officers involved. They're not all, you know, Ethernet cable to each other's brains.
That's a
They're all
great point.
seeing different things. And one officer might have seen the gun and said the word gun.
Yep.
And that might have triggered that first shot by an officer. And then all the other officers begin shooting in response to that initial discharge. That does not make the shooting unlawful. It would be an awful but lawful shooting. So what's required for the shooting to be lawful? The officers have to have a reasonable perception of an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm.
Yeah, a shot being fired, definitely reasonable.
That's it. If the answer to that is yes, this is a lawful shoot. They're struggling with this gun. If they perceive this guy as being non-compliant with arrest, fighting with officers, as reaching for a weapon, they will have reasonably perceived an imminent threat of unlawful deadly force harm, justifying their use of deadly defensive force. And their perception does not have to be correct. Their perception has to be reasonable. We're not required to make perfect decisions in self-defense. Police too. We're required to make reasonable decisions in self-defense. If an officer heard a fellow officer shout gun, and officers are allowed to rely on the expertise of training on their fellow officers, they don't personally need to see the threat themselves. If another officer with whom they're working in that event shouts out that the triggering event has been observed by a fellow officer, that's enough for another officer to resort to the use of deadly defensive force. They're allowed to rely on their reasonable perceptions of the other officer's communications and conduct. Happens all the time because everyone knows the officers have different perspectives or seeing different things at any given time. Every officer does not personally need to see the threat. He has to have a reasonable belief that the threat is present. That can be based on a reliance of what other officers communicate to him. So if one officer shouts gun, all the other officers are going to be prepared to, and some of them will shoot, as appears to be what happened here. When you get in a physical brawl with a bunch of armed law enforcement officers and you have a gun on your person, you're running a serious risk of getting fatally shot in the course of that confrontation.
Can we all agree on that? Left, right, middle, far left, far right. Just as people with common sense, can we agree on that statement? If you are armed and you get into a tussle with law enforcement, you have a high possibility of being shot and fatally killed. Fatally killed. Fatally shot. Can we all agree on that? If not, I mean, God, you probably should just never watch any video here again and unsubscribe for the channel, because it seems to be that simple. Don't do it. Don't fight with law enforcement. And definitely don't do it while armed.
The moment they see that gun, they've reasonably perceived an imminent threat of deadly, unlawful force against them, and they'll justifiably respond with deadly defensive force. By the way, it's not uncommon for police officers to shoot other police officers. Like 2 plainclothes police officers respond to a scene of violence, see each other with guns in hand, and one shoots the other. And it's a justified shooting. Because the shooter, although he wasn't actually shooting a criminal and that other person was a fellow police officer unknown to him, was not actually a deadly force threat to him. He was reasonably perceived, given the circumstances as an imminent unlawful threat of deadly force harm, and therefore it was justified to use deadly defensive force.
Wow, that scared me. Well, what do y'all think? Comments in the chats. If we can't agree, again, hey, you probably need to go somewhere else, because common sense says don't be armed and wrestle with law enforcement. Let me know what y'all think. Thank you again to all 7,000 of you in the building. Life could be so simple. Life could be so simple. And you only get one life. Take care of it. I hope that people learn from this and we don't see any other situations like that, because it doesn't have to happen. Accountability saves lives. Yes, holy moly, by no means has had a safe weapon. Did that thing just shoot without pulling the trigger? Yeah. Yes, it did. All right, let me see if I can find. I'm going to find the video for y'all again, because it happens. He's able to do it 2 more times, which is insane. Let me see if I can find this video. I'm going through my bookmarks. Hold on a second. Yeah, and we'll skip through it. Hold on, let me go back. So let's exit out of this. Here we go. And let me put y'all back up on the screen here too. Yeah. Agreed. Yes, there is a possibility of you carrying a gun, and tensions are high anyway. Unless, I'm going to be real, I think a lot of gun owners are responsible gun owners, but I would go as far to say a large majority of gun owners are not responsible, which is sad.
Yeah, let's put the magazine back in, and then we'll try the last one with the magazine out. Handy dandy trigger input tool. We are going to try to, dang, sorry about that. I'm trying to get over a sinus thing and a cough. We're going to try to simulate all right, here we go. Again, we are roughly, as we saw on the tabletop, I'm guessing we're roughly 1 millimeter to less than 1 millimeter of engagement on that trigger. And let's see if we can get it to go off again.
Crazy. That was the second time. He's going to keep going.
That was 4.
Insane. There was another one here too. Where did it go? Yeah, I don't want to show that one. Again, too many guns, and YouTube's going to be like, hey, what you got going on over there, man? Thought you were talking about true crime. Talking about guns now? Sheesh. How good is the evidence that the deceased gun misfired? Not just that it can happen. Not great, to be honest. And I've heard even several people say that the video looks altered. But it's just, here, let me play this one. If you look at the video, I mean, it looks like there's a shot that was fired before the agent started shooting. So let's just look at this one. So you hear this shot, and let's just watch it in real time. Again, you should, from this video, you'll be able to easily figure out the trajectory of that bullet. You'll easily be able to find out if this gun was fired recently. GSR should be able to show if this agent had residue on his gloves, blah, blah, blah. I mean, evidence, there's evidence there. Whether they're going to find it or not, I don't know. I don't see any recoil, though. That's the only thing. I mean, unless the agent just, he's that well trained, it doesn't look like the gun fires there. It's possible, though. I mean, especially with the 9mm. If you're just holding the gun with that kind of grip, yeah, I don't know. The evidence is there. What's going to come as a result of that? I have no idea. Thank y'all for the love, man. Thank you to everybody that's liked the video too. Man, y'all are all up in here. We got over half of you that have liked the video. 6,000 of you in here. Over 400, well, nearly 400 of you have liked the video. If y'all could, please like the video. It's free. It's free. It takes less than a second. And I'm not going to stop begging until I'm no longer on YouTube, which is going to be a while. So thank y'all for the love. We're going to get into this next segment and see what the Attorney General had to say about this whole situation, because she's about sick of it. And I don't blame her, to be honest, because everything that's happening in Minneapolis, it could be easily prevented. It should be easily prevented. E, look at the video you just showed. He tapped the slide and the gun went off. Let me go back and find it. A lot of people went, excuse me. A lot of people went back and said it looked like the slide was back. Yeah, see, this one even says the slide was visibly to the rear in this frame. Again, we don't know. That could be that. It could be that he not discharged, that he, I can't think of the right term right now, that he took the ammo out of the weapon and made it inoperable. So took the magazine out. We didn't see that happen in the video. But I don't know. It's tough, man. I don't see the slide. The slide doesn't look like it's back, though. Nah, I don't. Oh, wait, where does the, he got a laser sight on there. Did that come off? You can see it right there. Trying to look at the gun they recovered. Show the video from the guy doing the demonstration. He tapped the slide, no trigger pull. Yeah. I'm with you on that one. Yeah, it doesn't need much. That's why people hate that gun. There's some ranges that won't even let you bring that in. If you go to a gun range with a, they tell you to get up out of there. I'm trying to look and see. It was a P320. I want to find the full length video because I want to see if he actually removes the ammo.
Honestly. With you.
Yeah, so they look like they're searching them. Stand back, stand back. Now, so this is the guy that we see running off in this video. This is the guy right here. It doesn't look like he... I don't know if we'll ever know, man. I honestly don't know if we'll ever know. Attorney General is heated. Pam Bondi finally speaks out on what has been happening with Jacob Fry, Tim Walz, and everything in Minneapolis. So we're going to get into and hear a statement from her, what she has to say about how the governor and mayor have handled this and what most likely is going to happen moving forward. We'll also hear some more updates about this Alex Protty situation. Check this out.
The Attorney General, Pam Bondi, joining us live here in studio. AG, thank you so much for coming in.
She pulled up to the
this
studio.
This has been hard to watch for everyone involved. Let me just get your initial thoughts of what's happened here in Minneapolis in the last couple of hours.
Well, why this has happened in Minneapolis is because you have a mayor, you have a governor who has declared Minneapolis a sanctuary city, saying, bring your worst of the worst to Minneapolis. You're invited here. We will protect you. Aisha, these are the arrests. These are just the arrests that ICE has been making. And that's why Donald Trump has ICE in Minneapolis to protect the citizens. Sodomy of a boy, strong arm robbery. Sexual assault, sodomy of a girl under the age of 16.
Dang.
Rape, 12-year-old girl. Strong arm, rape, ag assault. Convicted rape, child fondling. These are all the illegals that Joe Biden was letting into our country. And they were all going to Minneapolis because the mayor, the governor, the AG, they were protecting them. And Donald Trump is going to protect the citizens of our country. I was there all week, as you saw. I was in Minneapolis, and we are going to protect our churches. We are going to protect our great men and women in law enforcement who were out there doing their jobs today. They were out there arresting a violent offender, and then this guy comes up. I can't talk about more of the details. Chief Bovino talked about that. It's now all pending, but we will support the men and women in law enforcement, and we will support the good citizens of Minnesota if the governor and that mayor aren't going to do it.
Some of the people that you arrested, like you mentioned, in the last couple of days, you feel it was incredibly organized.
Yes.
What can you tell us more about what we're seeing on the ground there? I mean, our Steve Harrigan, who's covered many wars, said that in his own observations, it feels incredibly organized. These people know each other. They know where to go. What do you know about this?
There's a lot of
That's right.
groups.
And I can tell you what I observed when I was there.
Also, there's rumors. Again, this is a rumor. I don't usually bring up rumors here. But an interesting point I've heard is that Alex Protty was a part of a group in Signal that was preparing, getting ready for participating in these protests. Hasn't been verified yet, and I'm sure we'll hear more information on that at a later time.
It's extremely organized. The signs they have are all matching. They're well written. And look at what's happening today. How did these people go out and get gas masks, these protesters? Would you know how to walk out on the street and buy a gas mask right now? Yeah, think about that.
No.
Right.
Fair.
All of these protesters out there right now have gas masks on, matching, very expensive, by the way, gas mask. It's organized. They're out there to cause problems, and they're out there to hinder the great men and women in law enforcement, and we are not going to have it in Minneapolis or anywhere else in this country. We're going to protect our synagogues. We're going to protect our churches. That's why I was there, and we are going to fight back to keep people safe. Our country was founded on religion. Our country was founded on law enforcement, and that's what President Trump believes, and that's what we're going to do.
Something else that we've noticed on these live pictures is there's been a red flag being waved, and there are questions now of how much, of a communist influence there might be. This is Paul Morrow relating this to me, a communist, socialist, anarchist professional.
I don't want to get into the politics stuff. Let's get to this next one. Hearing from the Department of Homeland Security on what they think about what's happening in Minneapolis.
By the Homeland Security Secretary,
politics.
Christine Ohm, Secretary. Really busy 24 hours for you. Thank you very much for being here. People are waking up and they are wondering two things. Am I going to lose power from the storm? And what the heck happened with the Border Patrol agents shooting this guy in Minneapolis? We will get to that. But first, with this storm, what are the folks here at FEMA's Nerve Center telling you about how things have played out overnight?
Well, this is the National Response Coordination
y'all be
Center.
safe
So
out
we
there.
actually have many agencies embedded here that are responding to local communities and states as they get through this winter storm. We knew for several days ahead of time this would be significant. It would impact about 40 states. It would include not just snow, but the damaging ice that could be catastrophic for people losing power by taking down power lines, impacting tree branches that would cause a lot of damage. So we're seeing about 1 million people without power, although all the local communities and states are responding with repair crews, all coordinated together to make sure that everybody gets help as soon as they possibly can.
And the threat from power outages, if the storm has gone, is the threat past?
15
or do
inches
people
of
still need
snow?
to worry tonight about branches freezing and power lines
Now,
getting
the
dropped off?
situation with this storm is pretty unique just because it's going to stay cold for a period of time. So this ice that has fallen will keep those lines heavy, even if they haven't gone down immediately. For several days, we're going to have below freezing temperatures that will make sure that if we get a little bit of wind or we get snow, they haven't expressed
Let's
any
skip
concern
ahead.
for injuries to our officers. And that's been going on for weeks. These are not just agitators anymore, they're violent protests. In fact, the state and the city of Minneapolis abandoned this area in downtown Minneapolis because they couldn't control the situation by the
That's true.
What exactly you know. So you said last night, it looks like a situation
Here
where
we
an
go.
individual arrived at the scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
I think that's a stretch. I don't think Alex Pertti was out there to kill anybody. I don't like that narrative. It's weird. He didn't come off of some type of mass shooter. I think he was there just armed and he was ready for action if something needed to go down. But I don't think he was there to kill law enforcement.
Did he say, I'm going to kill you, or did he leave a note? How do you know that was his intent?
You know, part of this investigation will be hearing from those agents and officers and people on
I'm
the
not
ground.
buying it.
But we do know that he came to that scene and impeded a law enforcement operation, which is against federal law. It's a felony. When he did that, interacting with those agents, when they tried to get him to disengage, he became aggressive and resisted them throughout that process. These officers used their training, followed their protocols, and were in fear of their lives and the people around them. And that's how this tragedy unfolded, and we hope we never see it again. It grieves me to think about what his family is going through, but it also grieves me what's happening to these law enforcement officers every day out on the streets with the violence that they face.
Because you mentioned the family, they have a statement out now where they say they're angry and that Alex was just trying to protect a woman who was pushed down by ice and pepper sprayed. But they also talked to the Associated Press and they said,
that's
we had
not
this
his
discussion with
job.
him 2 weeks ago or so, you know, go ahead and protest, but do not engage, do not do anything stupid, basically. So what is your message this morning to Alex Pertti's parents?
Just that I'm grieved for them. I truly am. I can't even imagine losing a child. And I can't imagine a tragic situation. We can't have individuals that are impeding law enforcement operations and then showing up with guns and weapons and no ID and confronting law enforcement like that. That
was another point. According to, again, do not quote me on this, do your own research. According to reports that I'm hearing, he did not have his ID on him. While you're carrying a gun in that area in Minneapolis, you're supposed to have an ID on you. Breaking the law. Again, this is not great.
With guns and weapons and no ID and confronting law enforcement like that is one of the reasons that we see situations like this unfold. I think everybody can learn from this situation. I'm grateful for law enforcement to put their lives on the line every day to go out there on the streets and try to bring criminals to justice and protect the public. And we'll continue to make sure the right thing is done, this investigation is completed, and that we continue to go forward and we enforce the law and apply it equally to everybody in the country.
What is the line? Where does it go from peaceful protest, I have a First Amendment right to do that, to I'm going to get arrested protesting, to I'm going to get shot to death?
I can answer that. Interfering with law enforcement. It's not that hard. Stand there, yell, blow your whistles, get your megaphones, honk, whatever you want to do. Don't block the road. Don't put your hands on ICE agents. Don't throw bricks at them. Don't push them. Don't shove them. Don't get into a tussle with them and resist arrest if it gets to that point while you're armed. Come on, man.
We have clearly from the very beginning followed the exact same process and protocols that have been implemented this entire administration and that the previous administration followed and has gone on in law enforcement interactions for years. You cannot impede a law enforcement investigation and operation. When an officer tells you to back off and gives you orders, you should comply and explain. You shouldn't show up with weapons that no ID and no indication of how they're going to be used. And that aggressive interaction, laying hands on law enforcement officers, clearly is a crime, and it is something that should not be acceptable.
Because you mentioned...
Yeah, I agree. And we're not going to keep going on this one. We're actually going to hear the full press conference from Kristi Noem. I said it to y'all in the chat. Not the biggest fan of Kristi, but she's got some interesting things to say here, and she's getting a little bit of backlash. We'll get into that in a second. Let me know what you guys think about this in the comments and in the chat. Do you agree with Pam Bondi? Do you agree with Kristi Noem? Is there more to this story than meets the eye? I want to know what y'all think. Yeah, I said it in the chat too. Shout out to y'all. I'm not not the biggest fan of Kristi. I'm not even gonna hold you. Shout out to DeAndre over on Facebook, says resisted. He was jumped before he was able to even resist. No, that's not true. He was DeAndre, he was interfering. We showed the videos. This guy was all up in their business. He was resisting. They tried to get him down on the ground. He was trying to get back up, resisting 101. He was in the road. They asked him to get out of the road. He said, no. ICE agents were pushing a woman, telling her to get out of the road. You don't like it, fine, but don't go over there and interfere. Come on, guys. How is this? How are we arguing this? Man, jeez. We're better than this. We can be objective. I get we can disagree on certain things, but good Lord, nothing about what Alex did was okay. Nothing about what Alex did is recommended. None of it. It's not that complicated. Let's go ahead and get into it. So now that this whole situation with Alex Pertti went down, we're actually going to hear from ICE. We're going to hear from Border Patrol. We want some answers. What happened here? What were you guys thinking? And it'll be interesting to see who accountability goes to in this case. I'll check it out. Let me know what you think.
Given the events over the past couple of days. And that topic is the topic of choices. Choices. Now, choosing or making a choice is one of the only true freedoms that any of us really have.
That's what I want to say too. This is a saying that I try and tell the kids, I use over and over. Don't put yourself in a situation where someone has to make a choice for you. And in this case, that's exactly what Alex Pertti did. He put himself in a situation where he said, hey, you know what? I'm going to go out here and protest. I'm going to interact with these law enforcement officers. I'm going to show them who I am and that I don't think they should do what they're doing. Then you're going to resist arrest. At that point, you're giving up your life, your livelihood into the hands of those officers. It's not worth it. Not worth it at all. Even if you're trying to help, don't help. And officers have made that clear on both sides. They really don't want you to interfere at all. Because think of how many things could go bad. Think about even if you're on the side of the road and you see an officer just getting the brakes beaten off of him by some random guy. And he's on the floor, he's bleeding and he's bloody. You go over there, you try to help him out. You okay? The officer doesn't know what's going on. He could think you're a part of the situation you're trying to jump into. So he pulls out his gun, shoots you, shoots the other person. You're dead because you're trying to help out. Mind your business on both sides. Do not interfere with law enforcement. Don't do it. Whether you're trying to help them or you're trying to help somebody else, let them do their job. And I think things would be so much simpler if we went by that. So do not put yourself in a situation where someone can make especially that type of decision for you. It's not worth it, man.
Just to make a choice, whether that's the choice to be here today as the media, the choice to go to school, join the military, join law enforcement. Making a choice is a freedom that resides within us. Now, good choices are important in life, as we all know. Man. And many actions that take place are due to our choices. The choice to, say, cross the border illegally, that is a choice that someone makes to cross the border illegally. That's a choice.
Illegally. Why does he say it like that?
The choice not to utilize the CBP Home app, that's a choice. Not standing in line and doing it the right way, that is a choice. And there are always actions that result from our choices. When you choose to use your 5-year-old child as a shield to evade law enforcement, that is a choice that someone makes. And there are actions and consequences that result from that choice. Or when you're a politician or a community leader, you make a lot of choices there, some very important, wide-ranging, and in-depth choices. When, as a politician, if you choose collusion and corruption as a choice, then there are consequences and actions that take place because of that. That's one reason the U.S. Border Patrol and ICE are here in Minneapolis by the thousands, is because of those choices. When politicians, community leaders, and some journalists engage in that heated rhetoric we keep talking about, when they make the choice to vilify law enforcement, calling law enforcement names like Gestapo, or using the term kidnapping, that is a choice that is made. There are actions and consequences that come from those choices. And then when you choose, when someone chooses to listen to a politician, a so-called journalist, a community leader that spouted that type of vilification, towards law enforcement
Terrible.
or anything else, when you choose to listen to that, that is a choice, and there are consequences and actions there also. I think we saw that yesterday. And those actions and choices can obviously have tragic consequences, bad outcomes, outcomes that law enforcement never wants to see. Law enforcement never wants to see a bad consequence due to a poor choice. Now, these choices have reverberations throughout society. Let's take a look at, go ahead and put that on the screen, please. Yesterday, Border Patrol agents were engaged in a targeted law enforcement effort to apprehend this individual here, Mr. Jose Huerta Chuma. Look at his criminal record: domestic assault, intentional infliction of bodily harm, disorderly conduct. He's also got some other records there as well. This individual remains at large today. This individual is still roaming the streets today. This is the individual on that targeted law enforcement efforts that Border Patrol agents were engaged in yesterday when they were disrupted, assaulted, and prevented from conducting that Title VIII mission by individuals intent on making the choice to riot, to create anarchy, and to be a violent mob. This individual walks the streets today because of those choices made by politicians and those perhaps weaker-minded constituents that chose to follow directions of those politicians. Sad state of affairs. Now, enforcing the law is not a choice. I choose to be a Border Patrol agent. Mr. Marcos Charles chooses to be an ICE agent, but enforcing the law, that's not a choice. That is a duty. As we all know, those laws were enacted by Congress, signed by the executive, and upheld most of the time by the judiciary. Those are the laws of our land. That is our duty to enforce those laws, whether that's a Title VIII immigration law, whether that's chasing a bank robber or a spy or whatever else. That is our duty, whether it's a state and local law enforcement agency, and they make choices also. Do they support federal law enforcement going after Mr. Jose Huerta Chuma, or do they not? We all make choices. Our Title VIII immigration mission continues. Next slide. Our Title VIII immigration mission continues unabated here in Minneapolis, despite yesterday's tragedy that was preventable by folks making better choices, politicians, journalists, and would-be anarchists and rioters. This individual from Laos was apprehended within the past 24 hours. This operation continues unabated. This is evidence of that. We will continue to make these streets a safer place. It is our duty, because we choose to be Border Patrol agents and ICE agents, to take individuals like that off the streets so we can make Minneapolis and America a safer place. Thank you.
Well said.
Was in federal immigration
Hold on
custody.
questions until the end. Mr. Marcos Charles will talk, and we'll take questions at the end, ma'am. Thank you.
Good afternoon. I know Commander Bovino spoke about yesterday's incidents and situation, but I also want to draw your attention to the continued uptick in violence we're seeing against federal law enforcement officials, not just here, but across the country. Yesterday, here in Minneapolis, a crowd of violent agitators tackled an ICE special agent when one of our special response teams went to assist. A protester literally bit off part of that agent's finger.
Oh, Lord.
The officer received immediate medical attention on the scene and was transported to the emergency room for treatment.
Disgusting.
We do want to thank the people at the hospital for the assistance and the staff who treated our officer. The officer is recovering, but is now permanently maimed and has lost part of his finger. I don't think I have to tell you that this kind of violence is unacceptable, but I also don't think I need to tell you that this kind of violence is not a coincidence. When sanctuary politicians, activists, and the media work hard to create chaos and fear instead of using their platforms to reassure their communities, this is the result. The reality is, and this is what Commander Bovino and I have been talking about all week, we're out here to arrest dangerous criminal illegal aliens so they can't victimize innocent people in our communities anymore. Since the beginning of this operation, we've arrested over 3,400 illegal aliens, removing criminals, gang members, and terrorists out of Minnesota communities, detaining them in ICE custody for removal from the country. Those are criminals who won't reoffend in our communities. Those are criminals who won't be creating more victims that could be one of your family members or loved ones. Some of these criminals that we arrested yesterday are on the scene, well, these are our agitators from yesterday, if anybody wants to take a picture of these people or haven't seen them yet.
They don't
First
care.
picture was the individual who decided to bite off one of our agents' fingers.
They don't care.
Some of the criminals we arrested yesterday, 40-year-old criminal illegal alien from Honduras convicted of assault. 51-year-old criminal illegal alien from Laos convicted of assault also. A 45-year-old criminal illegal alien from the Ukraine convicted of first-degree robbery. And a 46-year-old criminal illegal alien from Laos who was convicted of facilitating child sex crime. ICE officers and agents are out there every day arresting the worst of the worst, so law-abiding citizens in this country and in Minnesota can sleep easy at night. This work isn't about headlines, it's about public safety. We can now take some questions.
He was previously in federal immigration custody in 2018 at a jail in Minnesota and then was released under the Trump administration
It's sad, man.
in 2018. You talk about choice. That was also a choice to release this individual, the man that you were targeting, obviously, to detain him. So if he was released in 2018 from federal immigration custody, why would that be the case? Why was that choice made?
Yeah, I don't know the particular case in 2018 that you're talking about, but this individual that you want to put that back up there, please? That individual is now an illegal alien. It's my mission to find this illegal alien before he harms another
he might have been here illegally
and does harm. That's what I'm after there. And yet we can go back and look and blame in history. Right now, my mission is to take this individual off the street. And the main point here being is this individual is in the process of being taken into custody. Agitators, rioters, and anarchists prevented us from taking this individual into custody because of a very, very chaotic scene. This individual should be in custody right now, not out on the streets preying on Americans. That is the story that is most poignant here.
Multiple videos from different angles of the shooting from yesterday, and at no point is he seen brandishing.
I'm sorry, repeat that, please.
We have seen multiple videos from the incident yesterday from different angles, and at no point do we see Alex Pertti brandishing a weapon. DHS Secretary Kristi Noem said that he was brandishing a weapon, and in the video we see him on the ground with his hands on his head. We see an officer leaving what appears to be with the weapon.
Nah, he had something in his hand. And then the shot was fired. I don't know what he has in his hand. And we've seen the picture here. I don't know what he's got there. But yeah, again, stupid.
He extracted it from Pertti's waist area.
Is it a phone? It doesn't look like a phone.
See the weapon? Did they see him brandishing the weapon at him?
Sure. Many videos out there, many different accounts that you may see, that I may see, that anybody here may see. That, folks, is why we have something called an investigation, to take what you're talking about, to take those videos, to take witness statements, to take officer statements, all those minute details that will paint a true picture, not a freeze frame concept.
Slow motion.
And paint a larger picture of what really happened. That is why we investigate, so we can get to the truth, so there's not speculation. Speculation after 24 hours, you've got a lot of speculation in there. That officer, let's think of what those agents were doing on that scene, making a split-second decision. You had 24 hours to try and armchair quarterback things. That agent had a split second to make a decision.
And I disagree. It wasn't even a split second. If you look at the reaction time, let me see if I can find this video again for y'all. If you look at the reaction time, the agents hesitated for what to me seemed like a long time before they heard that shots fired. They paused. Well, I guess we doing this. And then that was it. So let me see if I can find it. So that's the video. Let me see if I can find this for y'all. So here's the video. So the shot goes off right there. boom. And it's like 2 or 3 seconds before any more shots are fired. 1, 2. It's not even a split second. It was more than a second.
Agency, Commander.
It's not speculation.
Who's next?
Right here.
Commander, was Alex Pertti armed when he was shot?
Yes.
Again, the investigation is going to uncover all those facts, things like how many shots were fired, where were the weapons located. All those facts are going to come out in the investigation. I wasn't there wrestling that assaultive subject that was assaulting Border Patrol agents. I wasn't there wrestling him myself, so I'm not going to speculate. I'm going to wait for that investigation to come. No, don't interrupt me. I'm going to wait till that investigation comes out until I make a decision there.
If there's an investigation going on and you have not concluded, isn't it possible this was a bad shooting? Or have you already concluded for yourself that this was justified?
I've not concluded anything. I've not given you a conclusion. But what I do know, what I do know is this individual was on that scene several minutes before that shooting, interfering with a lawful, legal, ethical law enforcement operation to arrest Jose Huerta Chuma. And again, it's back to choices. We just talked about choices. When someone makes the choice to come into an active law enforcement scene, interfere, obstruct, delay, or assault law enforcement officers, and they bring a weapon to do that.
He did.
That is a choice that individual made.
No,
He did assault them.
Commander Bovino, when it comes to the shooting, from what I understand, there were 2 agents who fired shots. We know one of the agents had 8 years experience, and we know he was a less lethal instructor and had this training. What did the other agent, what was his history, and are they both working right now, or are they on administrative leave?
All agents that were involved in that scene are working, not in Minneapolis, but in other locations. That's for their safety. There's this thing called doxing, and the safety of our employees is very important to us. So we're going to keep those employees safe. As far as the number of shots, the number of agents involved, that, again, is going to come out in the investigation. I'm not going to speculate on who did what, when they did it, how they did it, or what exactly occurred there. I'm going to wait for the investigation to let me know what happened.
One of them did have 8 years experience, so we are talking about one of the agents. Why not talk about the other who shot as well?
Because before those facts come out, we need to ensure that we're talking truthfully and accurately. And before I speculate, I'm going to talk truthfully and accurately.
Between your agency, Border Patrol, and Mr. Charles, your agency, ICE, we've now seen 2 separate people shot and killed by your officers within 17 days. Do either of you plan on taking any accountability for those actions?
2 suspects, or you're correct, 2 suspects have been shot, and suspects that assault, delay, obstruct, or threaten a law enforcement officer's life. It goes back to the choices that we just talked about. When individuals make poor choices, poor decisions, come into a law enforcement situation, an active law enforcement situation, conspire to come into that situation. Whether that's based on ideology, we don't know. That'll be in the investigation that we just talked about.
That's fair.
That's what we base the split-second decisions on, and our law enforcement officers are safe. They managed, they managed to come home at the end of shift. And, again, I would implore upon any individuals, whether they're anarchists, rioters, or anyone else that thinks it wise to go into a law enforcement scene to disrupt, to delay, is to don't do that. Let's think about that in terms, say a bank robbery is in progress, and the police are taking care of that, and then you decide to go in there and perhaps take action. That's not a good idea in any form or fashion. The same thing with Title 8 with Title 8 enforcement. We are after an individual with a very serious criminal record. We don't need any help. Thank you.
They don't. I mean, they don't want you to, if you see a guy running past them, stop, police. They don't want you to stick out your foot and trip them, because then you might even mess up their investigation. Again, just let them do their job on both sides. Let them do their job. Let them do their job. Let me know what y'all think in the comments in the chat. Let's go, ISIS. Somebody, yeah. What's up, Mr. Brown? Good to see you in here. They will never admit fault. Well, I mean, if the investigation shows there was fault, then I guess they got to admit it, right? This whole thing is a mess. I can't believe we're still talking about this. And what about all of the vandalism to the vehicles that the agents who are in? I saw one where they got the weapon box and took the truck and drug that box out of A's vehicle. There's also been instances where people have had their car is broken into and damaged because they look like ICE vehicles. There's been several reports of that. Let's see. She has no idea. Yeah, I saw that of getting his finger bit off. Sheesh. He was filming them with his phone, presumably before the altercation. That just didn't look like a phone from that angle. I could be tripping. It didn't look like a phone to me. Let me find this picture again. It looked like he was holding something else. Maybe he grabbed the... It almost looks like the top. It almost looks like the top of a canister of pepper spray. That's not a phone. And honestly, that's what makes me think this picture is not even legit. Look, this guy's missing his head right here. This agent has his hand sitting where his head should be. Also, half of this agent's hat is missing. So I don't know what's going on here. Either way. Oh, y'all can't even see this because I'm on the other screen. Dang, that's my bad. Oh, that was a fail. Hold on a second. I'll show you guys what I was looking at. My bad. My bad. So see, you can see here, there's a lot wrong with this picture. Half of this agent's hat's missing. This guy's head is missing. Can y'all see all this? Let me do it this way. This guy's head is missing and the agent's hand is resting where his head should be. I don't know what happened to his arm here. And then what else? We've got what is happening here? His leg is dislocated from his body. Yeah, this is BS. I don't know what this is about. This picture is not. This ain't it. Then I don't know what this is in his hand. I don't know where this picture came from, but it's not legitimate. Shout out to AI though, keeping us on our toes. Can we get a round of applause to AI? Thank you to everybody who's in here. We're gonna get into this. This one's gonna be painful. And I actually was supposed to get. Did I get a picture of Christy? I think I did. Yeah, here she goes. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be careful, man. There's so much misinformation out here. That's why I get now, especially on the channel, that we're getting into a lot of news and breaking news, and you know, you want to be able to report on things quickly. The stuff like this just makes it. This is really disappointing because it makes it difficult for you to be able to report on things quickly because there's a lot of misinformation up there. Have you debated Basil? I don't know who that is. Mentioned you on the pod yesterday. Shout out to Basil. I don't know who Basil is. Is that a content creator? What's their full name? I'll go check it out. There's a guy in light gray jacket that takes the gun out of his victim's holster. Supposedly, yep, we saw that. It could be his holster. On the other hand, guys, that image is fake. That image isn't reliable. The only thing we have that's reliable are the videos that we've played over and over and over. And there's really no good angle of what went down here. This is one good use of AI, though, right here. It's one of my favorite AI videos.
Sidewalk, we are trying to arrest a violent criminal. Sir, step back on the sidewalk. We are trying to arrest a violent criminal. Sure thing, officer. Good. Stay right there. Sir.
It all could have been so simple. Yeah, so there's really no good angle of when he was actually shot yet. So we'll stay on the lookout for that. Mr. Brown in here. Shout out to my guy, Mr. Brown, dropping the 5-bomb. Let me put him up on the screen. Thank you for the super chat, Mr. Brown. Didn't even say anything, just showing some love, man. I appreciate the support. Thank you for helping keeping the lights on here on the show. Yeah, it's definitely fake. Shout out to the AI pictures out there, man. Thank you, Mr. Brown. Yeah, who is Basil? Is that I don't know who that is. Can y'all tell me who Basil is? Let me see if I can find it. Basil. I don't know. Somebody tell me who this Basil person is. Yeah, anytime I type in basil, it just pulls up basil recipes. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know who that is. I haven't debated anybody in a long time, though. I'll be interested to get back into some debates at one point. Maybe that'll be a good thing for the channel. We'll get into that. And honestly, I'm thinking about, well, I've got some things planned for the channel. We'll maybe do a couple times a week. So y'all make sure you stay tuned in for that. Thank you again, Mr. Brown, for the love. We're going to go ahead and hear from the Secretary of the Department of Homeland Security, Kristi Noem, on this entire situation with the Alex Pertti shooting. She got a lot of pushback for this press conference. So we're going to hear for ourselves what she had to say and what's going to happen moving forward. Check it out.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for being here. There are two different things that I'd like to discuss with you tonight. The first one being a storm that is barreling down on our country and will be impacting approximately 250 million Americans in 40 different states. We've been working together here at the FEMA headquarters and have opened our National Response Coordination Center and are working with local and state authorities to make sure that we're getting individuals and communities pre-deployed resources that they may need and also preparing them for the upcoming days, which will significantly impact them and their citizens. The Trump administration and FEMA are working closely with them to get them information, to get them law enforcement, which is a lie. He's called them the Gestapo. He's enforcement officers. We saw an agent fired defensive shots. Officers were conducting targeted operations in Minneapolis against an illegal alien whose criminal history included domestic assault with intentionally inflicting bodily harm, disorderly conduct, and driving without a valid license. An individual approached U.S. Border Patrol officers with a 9mm semi-automatic handgun. The officers attempted to disarm this individual, but the armed suspect reacted violently. Fearing for his life and for the lives of his fellow officers around him, an agent fired defensive shots. Medics were on the scene immediately and attempted to deliver medical aid to the subject, but he was pronounced dead at the scene. The suspect also had 2 magazines with ammunition in them that held dozens of rounds. He also had no ID. This looks like a situation where an individual arrived at this scene to inflict maximum damage on individuals and to kill law enforcement.
Stop. Stop it, Kristi. Stop. I hate this. I absolutely hate this. I think it's disgusting to say, for her to say that she thinks that man showed up to inflict damage on people. When I won't even use myself as an example. When you carry, it is totally normal to carry 1 or 2 extra magazines. So that doesn't necessarily mean that this man was out there to just shoot a bunch of people. Was he an idiot? Absolutely. But this, come on. Come on, Kristi. We're better than that.
About hundreds of protesters then showed up at the scene. They began to obstruct and to assault law enforcement officers. We saw objects being thrown at them, including ice and other objects. And a rampant assault began, and even an HSI officer agent's finger was bitten off. Crowd control measures were deployed to bring safety to the public and to law enforcement at the scene. And once again, I want to remind everybody that this situation and this tragedy did not have to happen. Our law enforcement are doing everything that they can to protect the public. We're praying for this deceased loved one's family and friends, but we also recognize that the Minnesota governor and the Minneapolis mayor need to take a long, hard look in the mirror. They need to evaluate their rhetoric, their conversations, and their encouragement of such violence against our citizens and our law enforcement officers. I'll remind you that Governor Walz today in his press conference said that our officers were not even law enforcement, which is a lie. He's called them the Gestapo. He's encouraged residents and citizens and violent rioters to resist,
He's doxed their identities, putting themselves and their families' lives in jeopardy. He's refused to turn over murderers to federal law enforcement officers. He's protected illegal criminals and protected them from being brought to justice, and even overseen a historic, unprecedented theft of American taxpayer dollars. Tens of billions of dollars were stolen under his watch, and he allowed it to happen, and in some instances may have even facilitated it. In other cities and states across the country, we don't see this happen. Local, state, and officials work with us to make sure that we're making their streets safer. I'll point to the city of Memphis, which is where there is a Democrat mayor in place. He worked with us and our federal law enforcement officers, and we saw murder rates drop by 50% because of that partnership. We've seen historic lows in the criminal acts that have happened in that city. We've had the same amount of law enforcement officers there, but a very different result because of the leadership in place. Last week, ICE did over 2,000 different operations, and we saw people be brought to justice and the American people made safer because of that work. We don't have this problem in Texas or in Florida because those individuals in those states work with us, and they make sure that they keep peace and calm while they bring criminals to justice. In Minneapolis, Governor Walz and Mayor Frey, they instead choose violence. They instead choose to encourage the destruction of their city and the crime against their people. It appears that they want this lawlessness to continue. It appears that they want chaos to distract from the theft and the fraud and the corruption of their city. I'll remind you that this city has been corrupt for years with what we've seen with people that have been stealing taxpayer money, all under the leadership of Governor Walz and Mayor Frey. I'm asking for all the authorities in Minneapolis and the leaders to work with us. And there are two things that we have repeatedly asked the governor and the mayor to do. Number one, all we want them to do is that when they are going to release a dangerous criminal from their jails, turn them over to us so we can get them out of this country as soon as possible.
It's that simple.
Since we have been back in the White House with President Trump's leadership, they have released over 490 criminals onto their streets rather than allow us to get them out of the country to keep families safe. The second thing that we have asked the governor and the mayor to do is to help us keep people safe. Just give us backup on the streets while we do our targeted operations to get illegal criminals out of our country, and then we wouldn't have to be there facing these types of situations that we face with violent rioters who are impacting and attacking our law enforcement officers. That's all. Those are the two requests that we've asked of them. We've asked them to help us do that so that we can continue to see success in Minneapolis like we see in so many other cities and communities across the country. But they have refused because they want us talking about attacking law enforcement officers instead of the fraud and the theft that they facilitated in Minnesota. One thing I'd like to do before I take your questions on that situation on the storm is give you a few facts about the storm and what we're facing here in the coming days. This storm is going to produce heavy snow. It's going to produce dangerous freezing rain and ice and life-threatening wind chills that will be sustained for days. Power outages, road closures, and other impacts have already started to impact the Midwest, the South, and the East Coast. The most important thing that people can do across this country is to please stay off the roads, to stay home when possible, unless you absolutely have to be out and about. That will not only ensure that you and your family are safe, but that emergency responders aren't out there trying to rescue you when they could be out doing other work to proactively keep people safe and at home. Stay alert by listening to different announcements from your local officials. And
hey, yeah, y'all be safe out there. But I do have this to say about Kristi Noem in this press conference. I think the narrative pointing, and one of the reasons I don't really want to get into the political side of things on this channel is because it just leaves out the facts. And for her to say, just because this man had 3 full magazines on him means that he was going there to inflict damage, maximum damage, it doesn't make sense. It's a semi-automatic weapon, right? It's not an automatic. He didn't go there with a bag full of ammo. I think this was someone who just made bad decisions, not because he went there armed, not because he went there without a license, because he interfered with law enforcement. He resisted law enforcement. He got involved and interjected himself to a situation which he really wasn't even a part of. The agents didn't have an issue with Alex Pertti until he started to interject himself in the situation they had where they were trying to move a woman who wasn't getting out of the road, following lawful orders, out of the road. So again, I don't like that from Kristi Noem. A lot of what she's saying makes sense. We're going to have to see how this investigation plays out. Let me know what you guys think in the comments and in the chat. Shout out to y'all, man. We got explain how he was an idiot is crazy. I put this on X. Hey, listen, to the person who said that, I will say this. If you're going to look your kids in the eyes And you're going to say, hey, Timmy, I'm going to tell you a story. Let me tell you a story about Alex Pertti. And you know what he did, Timmy? He got his gun, his SIG P320. He loaded it up. There's a live round in there. He got another magazine. He got a second magazine. He left his ID at home. And, you know, he went out to protest ICE. And Timmy, let me tell you what happened when he went out to protest ICE. He was in the street. He was blocking traffic. He's holding his phone, getting in the faces of Border Patrol agents, ICE agents. And you know what, Alex, he saw a woman that was seemingly being harassed by ICE agents, Timmy. And you know what Alex did, Timmy? He went over there and he involved himself and interfered with what the agents were trying to do. So, Timmy, you know what happened, Timmy? Alex, he was removed from that situation by law enforcement, put him to the side, and then they proceeded to tell him he was under arrest. And you know what, Timmy? This was the best part. Alex, he fought back against the law enforcement. He said no, he wasn't going to do that. Now, he was armed. He was ready to defend himself if he needed to. But he wrestled. He resisted. They pepper sprayed him. They got him on the ground, and he still fought back. He tried to get up, Timmy, and he couldn't get up. Well, something happened. The gun went off. The shots was fired. He had the gun on him. They found out. They removed the gun. And Timmy, Alex ended up getting killed. But you know what? At the end of the day, Timmy, we've got to look at Alex Pertti. And when you look at Alex Pertti, I want you, Timmy, to be exactly like Alex. Every decision that Alex made that day, when it comes time for you have to make a decision, I want you to do everything that Alex Pertti did. Because he was right. He did the right thing. Is that what you're going to tell your kids? So if I have to explain to you why and how Alex Pertti was an idiot, you know what? He wasn't an idiot. Go to your kids. I want you to go to your kids right now, somebody you care about, someone you love. And I want you to look them in the face and say, hey, you know what? Go, this guy, do exactly everything he did. I want you to do that. He wasn't an idiot. He didn't do anything wrong. There's no problem with what he did. Be like Alex Pertti. Shout out to the gang, man. I appreciate y'all. Thank you to everybody that liked the video. Y'all are amazing. If you're being objective and not political, this is murder. We will see. Hope y'all have a great rest of your day. Make sure if you haven't yet, subscribe, hit the notification bell so you don't miss any time we go live. We'll be back tomorrow. Y'all know we got a lot of content dropping for you this afternoon, so make sure you stay tuned. As always, you know what to do. Keep growing, keep pushing, keep it classy. Shout out to Mr. Brown for the super chat. Shout out to my beautiful, awesome, amazing Amy E. We gone. Peace.